What's up, everybody? We are back again for another Bitcoin talk and update, see what's going on in the space. So as of today, October 20th, Bitcoin price is at $68,710. Let's take a look at where we were at last week. Last week we were at 62,660. So at the time that I had wrote the numbers down, this is what we were at. So we're up about 6,000 in price in a week. If we take a look at the debt, we know what the debt is continuing to do. The number just steadily goes up. As long as they got access to the money printer, they're going to keep on printing. So last week we were at 35.6. This week we're at 35.7. We're up a little over 70 billion for the week in debt. If we take a look at the market cap, we're at 1.36 trillion. We're slowly climbing up. We're catching up to Meta, and we're about to jump that here pretty soon. If we take a look at reachable nodes and Tor nodes, we're still at about 31,000. We've been hovering between a little more than 31,000 and at about 30,000 and some change. So we've been holding steady at that number for quite a bit now. If we take a look at the RSI is getting hot. If you track the RSI and have gone back and looked in time, when we're up near 70 or over 70, that's considered overbought. When we're below 30, when we're near 30 or below it, that's considered oversold. And we see a lot of correlation with the fear and greed index as well. So like I said, last week, we were bouncing off of that 200-day support that was acting as a big resistance. And right now we're kind of at that next level of resistance, and from there it's about 72,000 is going to be the next level of resistance. So we'll see what happens in the coming week. And we can see that MACD cross is looking really good. We were starting to cross last week, and last week RSI was at 53. This week we jumped up to 67. And like I said, with the fear and greed, we're heading towards extreme greed. So you know what they say, be greedy when others are fearful and be fearful when others are greedy. So we're starting to get in that range, and we're going to see what happens from there. If we take a look at the hash rate was, let's see if I don't know if I have those metrics. No, I didn't write those down. But for hash rate, we've been hovering between pretty much the mid 500s to about 700 range for the last couple months. So if we take about 3 month lookout of what's happened, we've been pretty much hovering around this range for the most part. So like I said, that's good. We want to see the hash power, the hash rate continue to increase. That just means more people are out there mining, and it's just protecting the security of the system, and that's just continuing to grow. So we see some good growth the last 6 months, and if we take a look about a year out, we can see it's just been steady growth. We've had some dips, but we're steadily rising and continue to rise up. If we take a look at Bitcoin ETF, Bitcoin holdings, we're getting close to that $1 million Bitcoin in ETF holdings. Last week, we were at 930,000. Since I've been tracking these in these videos, I believe this is the biggest jump that we've had. So like I said, we'll see there's a correlation between three numbers, between the Bitcoin price, the RSI, the fear and greed, and the ETF holdings. They all pretty much go together. As Bitcoin price continues to go up, as RSI continues to increase, the fear and greed index increases towards greed, and then the ETF also, the ETF holding number increases. And when Bitcoin price goes down, we'll see the RSI go down, we'll see the fear and greed index go down, and then we'll also see outflows from ETF holdings. So that's just how it goes. And those all pretty much play off of each other. So like I said, since I've been tracking, this is the biggest increase or decrease just in the last 12 videos that I've done. And let's take a look at mining. So average mining costs are down to 76,000. Last week, we were up to 80,000. Like I said, we've been hovering between 70,000 and 80,000 pretty much since I've been doing these videos. So it's down 4,000 from last week. And I'm still tracking to see how long it's going to take before we cross that high of, what was it? Let me see. I believe it had jumped up to like 86,000. Here we go, 94,000. I believe this was the high. So if you go back and look at previous times, and we only have back to 2016, so not very much data. But if you go back and look and see how long the average mining cost price was above the Bitcoin price, it was about a 6 to 9 month window was the longest that the average mining cost price was above Bitcoin price, and before Bitcoin price caught up to it and eventually surpassed it. So if that theory continues to hold true, 6 months out from May, so about November, December timeframe, we should see if that theory continues to hold true. And like I said, with elections coming up and a lot of things happening over in the Middle East, we'll see what continues to happen with that. So let's go ahead and take a look at some things going on in the Bitcoin space. El Salvador recently did a survey showing the Lindy effect in action, and there was actually a good episode on the Bitcoin layer. Nick Bhatia had somebody on. I forget his name. He's a mathematical guy, and he was talking about something about the Lindy effect. I don't think he was directly talking about it, but he was talking about how Bitcoin has made it to this point. We're almost about that 15-year point of adoption. So in theory, we should have at least another 20 plus years before anything happens. And once we reach to that 50-year mark and so on. So pretty much, so based on the Lindy effect, the survey that just happened, about 7% of Salvadorians use Bitcoin for daily transactions. So some people might say, well, 7.5% is not really a whole lot. It's almost 500,000 people out of 6 million, a little over 6 million people that are using this in their day-to-day life. So based on the Lindy effect, that number should continue to grow as more and more people are using it. Their friends will start, hearing about it. Their family members will start hearing about it. Other business owners will talk about the benefits of accepting Bitcoin, and that number will steadily grow. So it's going to be interesting to see where that number is this time next year and also in the future. If we take a look at some other news around the Bitcoin space, Venmo users can now purchase Bitcoin through MoonPay integration, and Venmo has 60 million users. So that's another, pay platform like Cash App and some of those other platforms. Italy is considering raising Bitcoin capital gain tax to 42% from 26%. So look at it like this: for anytime you sell your Bitcoin, and let's say for every 100 that you gain prior to this, you would have to pay 26% in capital gains taxes. But now for every, let's use USD, even though I know they use euro over there in Italy, or we could just use euro. For every 100 euro that an individual gains in profits from their Bitcoin holdings, when they go to sell, they're going to have to pay the government 42 euro of that 100. So you could just go by 100 or 1,000, however you want to do it, it's absurd. That's insane. I really like Italy, but that wouldn't be a country on my list to want to live in for that simple fact right there. Coinbase finally enables Bitcoin transfer to Taproot addresses. This is long overdue. And like I said, Taproot was launched in 2021, and it was a big integration for Bitcoin. I believe the previous to that, something, it was 2017 was the next. Here we go. SegWit was introduced in 2017. Let's see. Samurai Wallet forked into Ashigaru, and that's an open source project. They just did some upgrades. I got it down here in my notes. They did some improvements to their batching, RBF support, and fee estimation. If you want to check them out, if you don't know what happened with Samurai, just go do a quick Google search, and it will tell you what happened with them. And let's see, for articles to read about Bitcoin, check out this one, Banking Nation States and International Politics. This one was put out in 1990, so it examined the intertwined evolution of nation states and centralized banking systems. So in this, he argues that governments, through surveillance with central banks, manipulate monetary policy, particularly via inflation at the expense of ordinary citizens. So it's literally what we're going through right now. And I enjoy reading these older articles because in hindsight, it's good to see where people's thoughts were and where their mind was at back then, especially when we're talking 1990 and prior to that, when internet really wasn't easily accessible. Everyone didn't have smartphones or, computers at home or whatever the case may be. The information wasn't fully uploaded on the internet at that time like we have access to it now. But we're literally living what a lot of these people were fighting for, things that they were saying that they were trying to warn people. So it's good to go back and see what people were already trying to warn people, what people were already trying to do, and where we're at now. And that's just going to be better as the future continues to go on. I think things are going to continue to get better, and this space is going to grow larger and larger, and we'll have a lot more sovereign individuals. A book that I'm still on Gradually Then Suddenly. And for audiobooks, I just started this audiobook, Younger Next Year. So far, so good. I really like it a lot. Check that one out if you have the time, especially Gradually Then Suddenly. That's Bitcoin focused book. And as far as my DCA journey, so I've made 12 contributions. I've been doing $100 to just show what the power of DCAing can do just every week. I've done every Monday. And when I first started, the first 3 times I didn't do auto DCAing. I used Strike. I'm using Strike. And once I did the auto DCAing, they waived the fee. And I've just been getting whatever I put in. So I've been doing 100. So I've been getting $100 worth of Bitcoin at that time based on what Bitcoin's price was. Here's what the price was every time I made my purchase. Here's how much Bitcoin I was getting for my $100. And I've currently contributed 1,200 US dollars. This is how much Bitcoin I've accumulated and valued at today's Bitcoin price, which is 68,620 at the time I was recording this video. I currently have $1,352 in Bitcoin, which is a plus 12.7% increase. And all I've had to do was do whatever you have to do to get the money, and then just constantly keep staying on course, not getting distracted, keep putting that money in there, keep dollar cost averaging. And I haven't had to do anything, right? But get the money and put the money in there. So obviously I've had to do the research to have the conviction of Bitcoin that I have. But like I said, there's so many books out there. There's so many podcasts out there. There's enough free information for any individual to go down that rabbit hole, take a little bit of time out of their day and figure out if Bitcoin is right for them or not. So the easiest way for me to tell people, if you save in dollar, your money is losing value every single day because the money printer is on every single day. They're continually funding themselves pretty much. It doesn't matter which party you're on, you're red, you're blue, you're green, whatever the case may be. Everyone that gets in office gets access to this printer. They come up with these programs. We want to help you with this. We want to fund this. We want to do this. It's more so of the government getting more and more control of our daily lives. And they're creating the funds out of thin air by having these different programs and then turning around and increasing living for individuals, taxing individuals even more, and the rich keep getting richer. Part so because, when I say the rich keep getting richer, I'm not necessarily talking about people that have got wealthy from starting businesses, creating and contributing to society. I'm talking about the individuals who were able to get that shortcut, that have access to this money printer, right? It's called the Cantillon effect. So it's those people that are closest to the money printer, they get to the benefit the best, because once the money is printed, you know, their friends all involved, their family members are involved. So it's like they're looking out for them and themselves, and then everyone else gets the trickle down, but they're buying assets right now when they're cheaper and they continue to inflate over time. So anyone who has assets, their net worth continues to increase, and then everyone else who's at the bottom of that fall further down to the bottom, right? And Bitcoin is the life raft to get you closer to that money printer that you'll never have access to, right? You got to be in that club to be able to have access to it. So some of your only ways to reap those benefits is to have assets, to save in a asset that doesn't deflate, and that's what the dollar does. So if you save in Bitcoin, your purchasing power goes further for you. If you save in dollar, your purchasing power goes less for you. So it's really as clear as that. And if that isn't obvious to people by now, then I'm not sure what it will be. You know, probably once Bitcoin reaches 500,000 or 1 million per coin, maybe some people will wake up, but even then they might still feel like it's out of reach. You know, one of the things that I tell people is try not to focus on what the Bitcoin price is. It's really irrelevant, because if you look at what the price is right now, how it's almost 70,000, you're just thinking, wow, I can't afford one whole coin. There's no point in me even putting my money in that. You have to think this has a fixed supply of 21 million. Right now, we're at 94% issuance, right? Every 4 years, we have the halving. Miners' rewards are cut in half every 4 years. And we have a fixed supply of 21 million once all coins are in circulation. So this is a asset that can't be created. Since it's been created, the network of Bitcoin has not been changed or altered. Blocks are still mined pretty much every 10 minutes, still a fixed supply of 21 million, and the ship is still sailing smoothly. Price is very volatile. That's because, like I said, we're still in early adoption of this. We're only, you know, coming up on 15 years. So once we get to that 50% worldwide adoption, then I feel like the volatility of price will slow down. But you have to think we're only at about 3% if we're even at that. So try not to look at Bitcoin price. Look at it as your purchasing power is increasing by just taking whatever it is you earn, whatever your dollars are, whatever your euros are, whatever your yen is, whatever your currency is. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where you're at in the world. Bitcoin works for everybody, and that's the beauty of Bitcoin. It's a worldwide currency. It's a worldwide store of value for anyone. It doesn't matter if you're a millionaire. It doesn't matter if you only have a few bucks to your name. Hell, even if you're in debt and need to do whatever you need to do to start saving whatever it is that you earn into Bitcoin, you're increasing your purchasing power, because the price will just continue to go up because they continue to keep printing money. They keep putting money in circulation, and more people are starting to realize, hey, staying in the dollar is just a sinking ship that I don't want to be a part of. So keep doing your research, keep going down those rabbit holes, keep taking the time out of your day to learn, 30 minutes or an hour a day, pick up a book, do an audiobook, check out a YouTube video, check out a podcast, start asking questions, ask what is money, ask what is freedom, learn more about inflation, and it will take you down some paths that will open your eyes, and you'll start to see the orange pill. So that's all I got for you. If you have any questions or anything for me, just let me know in the comments. Other than that, I'll catch you next